Okay, I want to pass on some thoughts about man and woman and Adam and Eve. This is a bit of an interlude and it's a mix of thoughts, so I hope you can bear with me and follow me, and I'll try to keep it short, but we'll see. It's all kinds of things mixed in. In the beginning, it says God makes man in his image, male and female. And so we see in Genesis 1 that both man and woman together represent God. It's not more than the other. We also don't see in Genesis 1 a hierarchy in any way, that one is better than the other, but they both complement each other. It was one being, so to say, in the beginning. Well, it wasn't Adam in the beginning, like mankind was one and then got split up into male and female. The thing is that in Genesis 2 we read that Adam was not aware that this was a problem. He wasn't aware that he is alone. And this is the reason for this interlude, that God starts making animals and bringing them to Adam. And Adam assigns them something. But then it says that he realized that there was no helper, no opposite would be the word, found for him. There was nothing that he could relate to. And so this episode was needed, that Adam realized, hey, I am alone. I'm missing something. I'm missing even something in my rulership, in what I should do. And then it says that Adam slept and God built, constructed a woman from part of Adam. And once Adam sees Eve, he starts singing a song. He breaks out into poetry. And he says, wow, look at this. This is flesh from my flesh. And he calls her woman, taken from man. So we have this little song. And it's really, really interesting. First of all, Adam realizes this is flesh of my flesh. He realizes we are one flesh. And this is why Jesus later on says, this is why a man will leave father and mother and become one with his wife. They will be one flesh. They will stick together. That's the word. This is a really important concept, because every man has been one flesh with his mother. This is where we were one flesh. And this is a very, very strong bond. And this bond gets exchanged for the bond with his wife, so they can become one flesh again. They come to the point they were kind of before God took them apart. It's really, really interesting. We also notice that Adam realizes who he is once he sees Eve. This is a really important concept for psychology. Psychology tells us that identity is found in the self. You need to figure out who you are, and only once you've found yourself, you can take care of others. The Bible says that is not true. The Bible says that relationship precedes identity. Only when Adam sees Eve, he realizes, this is flesh of my flesh. This is who I am. We find the same in the New Testament when John starts in his great prologue and he says, the Word was with God and the Word was God. We would have said the Word was God is more important what the Word itself is than who the Word was with. But John says it's not like that. Who you're with, your relationship, is the first thing that defines you. The Word was with God and the Word was God. But that's a little side note taken from Alice, actually. It says that they were both naked and they were not ashamed. And also that makes sense. They complemented each other and they were one flesh. I don't think they noticed each other as a threat or as something foreign. They were different, but they were not foreign. But after their eyes are opened, they realize their nakedness. They realize that they are different. And part of it is because they now both define good and evil on their own terms. Both of them have become the center of the world. There is now two centers. And this center is different than this. And so it could become a threat. What is if your definition of what is good and what is bad is not my definition? And so we have a trouble and we distance ourselves from each other and we hide. And what humans do is that they grab into creation to cover themselves up. They take leaves, they grabbed into creation to feed themselves, to consume, to satisfy, and now again they grab into creation in order to cover them. The first man has been tested in the garden, and then in chapter 4 we have an episode where Cain is tested outside of the garden. The first man was tested to rule over his desire so he wouldn't die, and Cain is tested to rule over sin so that his brother wouldn't die. And they both fail. Eve was failing by her desire, like I said in the last time, but we read that Adam was standing next to her the whole time and being silent. And then he was eating as well from the fruit that was given. And interestingly, God now assigns rulership to Adam over Eve. And it seems in the text, and now I say something that is very politically incorrect in YWAM nowadays, it seems that this abdication of ruling led to his own failure. So God says to Adam, because you listened to the voice of your wife and you ate from the tree. That sounds a little like you shouldn't have done it. I don't know how you think it. But it says, Adam, you shouldn't have listened to your wife. You should have ruled. And when you notice that this constellation was happening before the fall, this is really important for me. This is not a consequence after the fall. We come to that very soon. But before, God already says, hey, Adam, this is the wrong order. Because you remember, God told Adam what to do and what not. That was before Eve was created. Only Adam was told what not to eat from. Eve knew it as well, but it was second-hand information. And the snake knew that. So God says, Adam, you were first. You had more information. You had better information. And with that, I expect you to rule. And you didn't. You shut up. You were quiet. And now I command you to rule. After the fall, God says to the woman, your desire will be for your husband, but he will rule over you. And there have been lots and lots of talks. Is that good? Is that bad? Should that be this way or not? But we see, interestingly, a parallel in the next chapter. It's the only chapter in the whole Bible where we have this combination of the words desire and rule. And it's with Cain. And God tells Cain, sin is crouching at the door, and its desire is for you. You should rule it. So we have the sin crouching like the snake after the curse, desiring to devour Cain, and Cain should rule. And we have Eve desiring her husband, and he should rule over her. So it seems this desire is not a positive thing. And we need to rule desire. I said that already yesterday. It's important. We need to rule in order for creation to survive and we each other to survive. I also believe that because this abdication of Adam was happening already before the fall, that this is why Paul makes actually such a strong point in not going down that road again in 1 Timothy 2, 11 and 14. But you can read Lauren's book on man and woman and all of this. And I don't say generally, but I just say I find it fascinating to see that right here, how it's going on. So it seems that the desire of the woman for man is also a consuming, devouring desire, and that needs to be ruled. Very interestingly also about the nakedness, some thoughts. We hear that motive also with Noah again. The Hebrew word for naked is arom. And interesting is that the term for the snake, it says she was crafty, and the word is arum. It's almost written the same in Hebrew. Both have the same root, which is smooth. You're smooth. It works a little bit in English as well. And so the snake, which is smooth, tells Adam and Eve, when you eat from this, you will become crafty, you will become wise, you will become smooth. And then after they eat, they realize, oh, we are naked. We are arom. Almost we are smooth now, smoother than we wanted. And like I said, they grab into creation, but it doesn't work. The interesting thing is that God, in the end, takes care of that. Even though he was not happy with what they did, he provides for them something that is longer lasting than these leaves. And what God needs to do for this is kill. We find the first sacrifice. It's not written explicitly, but when you think, the Felle, the clothes that God made for Adam and Eve, where did he get them from? What did he need to do in order for them to provide them with this? And he needed to kill an innocent animal. And so we have the first animal sacrifice in order to cover for us. Paul later on says we should put on Christ as our clothes. He's also the sacrifice that covers us. When Adam and Eve hear God in the garden, they are afraid and they hide, first of all. And then God is asking Adam, what's going on? Why are you afraid? And Adam gives a fantastic answer in saying, well, actually, I was afraid because I was naked. And he confesses, we could say. But then God says, well, did you take from the fruit? And then Adam says, yeah, but it was actually the woman that you gave me. So Adam is not just blaming Eve, he's also blaming God. He's making God responsible, who gave him this problem creature that he was so happy about before. And so we see how all this unravels, the blame game, shifting it to somebody else and not owning up to what is actually going on and what somebody has done themselves. And then we see how God starts to deal out consequences, so to say. And it's interesting, God curses the snake. And I want to talk about the snake. Hopefully we have the time for this, where it comes from, what is it, what is the curse, if it's now crouching in the dust and eating the dust, eating the remains of humanity. Man becomes to dust again and she eats dead humans, or the snake. All of this, what is that about? What was the snake before? What's going on? Obviously that was not the case. And I hope you see the parallel about the snake crouching and sin crouching with Cain in chapter 4. It's the first time sin is mentioned, and it has the feature of this mysterious snake as well. God pronounces an enmity between the woman and the snake. He says, you will be enemies, and the seed of the woman will once crush the head of this. So we have the first promise and prophecy and messianic prophecy in the Bible. Eve thought that this was Cain, and then it's clear that this wasn't the case. But we also see that there's a seed of the snake, and you wonder, well, what does that mean? Is the snake multiplying as well? And I think it has to do with the voice you listen to and the person you follow. Jesus says in the New Testament, he calls the Pharisees, you are the children of the devil. And that sounds very much like the seed of the snake. If we take this equation that the snake would be the devil. So there are two lineages, and it's not so much all about DNA on physical lineage, but also moral choices that people do. Those who give in to the serpent's temptation, they become his seed. And those who resist the serpent's temptation and overcome it, they become the seed of God. And that is what Jesus did in Luke 4 when he overcame all the temptations of the enemy. That had to do actually with the desires of the flesh and becoming wise and all of this. Now God curses the ground on Adam's behalf, and he says it will be really, really hard for Adam to work. And he tells the woman that her work will also be hard. Now, when it says you will have pain in child giving, it doesn't mean birth pains. I know this has often been said, oh, women have birth pains because of Eve. I wish we didn't. If you look at this, the word is itzabon, and it's paralleled. And what it assigns, it says the women have to do with more, with raising kids. Again, culturally, we are back in that culture. And this will be painful. It will be really tough to deal with kids. And you can ask my wife, you can ask me, it is really tough. So basically what the curse says is, Adam, your work, which is the ground and all of this, will be really tough. And Eve, your work, which will be kids, raising them, giving birth, but everything associated with them is also really, really tough. Yes, I think I want to leave that here. These are just some thoughts about man and woman.